there friends, it's Narika and I'm here introducing to you my newest YouTube channel, which is, I don't know what it's going to be called, just Narika's Crafts, I don't know. But what I'm going to be doing here is just showing you all the crafts that I make for my channel, Living the Jones Life, which is about teaching kids Christian content and Christian values through scenarios using dolls. And I create a lot of the crafts there, and now I'm going to be showing you on this channel the crafts that I create for that channel. So you see how they intertwine, they'll be like together, working together like a lovely little marriage. But also on this channel, I'm not just going to be showing you my crafting for the show, I'll be showing you crafting that I just do in my everyday life, just creating things I put on my plate, because that's what I like to do to keep myself busy and occupied, and just learning different crafts and just doing things. So there'll be a lot of maybe knitting, obviously. I do you like this? My little yarn collection here, isn't it so nice, lovely, color coordinated? So I'll definitely show you a lot of knitting and crocheting. I do have a passion for that, and just anything else you could do with yarn or string, whatever. I'm going to be creating it and just yeah, just showing you my creative outlets and crafting, because that's what I really love and enjoy doing, and that's what I will be showing you here on this channel. And maybe we'll chat about some things, who knows, you know. I don't know exactly where this channel is going to go, but I know it's going to be really in conjunction with the crafting, but it can do many more things, who knows. We'll just hop on board and just see where this train takes us. Okay, it's 2021. We're just trying to be better and do more and just embrace what God has for us. So that's what I'm doing here in 2021. So come join the ride with me. All right, but this first craft that we're going to be doing today is making the planners that I had in my last Living the Jones Life episode, which were these really cool planners that Lucky had. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Can you see that? There. Oh, focus. There. That's the planner there that Lucky had, and I made this one, which we'll be actually making in the tutorial, is this planner right here. I don't know why the focus is all the way over there, but that's what we're going to be making today. So just stick around with me, and we're going to be making those planners, and I hope you enjoy. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. I'm really excited about this journey. It's really difficult to film because when you just get into that creative outlet, you just want to create. So it's going to be hard for me to turn on the camera before my creative process, but I'm determined to be better and to show you all everything that goes behind the scenes. So I get asked so much times like, girl, how'd you do that? Oh my gosh, how'd you do that? And I go, it started from nothing and it became something. And so I'm going to show you the nothing and then the something and how we get there, how we connect the two. So please like, please share, and like, let's just get right into it. Okay, let's do this. So some of the materials that we're going to need for this tutorial are paper, a hole puncher, pencil, colored wires, glue gun, clear packing tape, glue stick, paper cutter, pliers, and elastic. Oh, and also a scissors. Here I have a scrap piece of printer paper that I'm cutting into strips, which will measure 1 inch and a quarter. I cut a total of 4 strips for this. Next, I find some fun scrapbook paper that I think would make a cool cover for a planner. I found this sprinkles scrapbook paper that I thought was cool, and I'm going to cut that once again down into 1 1/4 inch strip. I just need 1 for this. Now with this strip, I'm going to cut it down to 1 1/4 inch once again, and this will be the front and back of the planner. So this planner is going to be a square because all sides are going to be 1 1/4 inch. I make sure to cut out 2. I actually cut out a 1/3 just in case I make a mistake, which I did, so that came in handy. Now that I have the base of the planner cut out, I take the strips of printer paper that I have, and I'm going to fold that accordion style. I'm using the template, which is the cover of the planner, as a guide to see exactly where I need to fold. Once I make that first fold, I put the planner down and I continue to fold back and forth until the printer paper is completely folded. I do this for all 4 strips of the printer paper. This doesn't need to be perfect, but I do try my best to align it and make sure it's straight as it possibly can be. But if it isn't, no worries. It's not going to be that important. All the 4 strips are now folded. Now I have to glue them together. As you see here, after I folded the strip of paper accordion style, the last piece that I fold doesn't measure the full length of the rest of the pieces. It's not a full 1 inch and a quarter. You don't have to cut it off, that's fine. So what we'll do in this situation is we'll just glue that piece to the other strip that is a full side. So I put glue on that side, then I glue it onto the side that does have a full strip. And that's what we'll do in this situation. To glue them all together, don't worry about the fact that it's just a little bit shorter. It won't be noticeable at all in our little doll planner. All 4 strips are now together, making up the body of our planner. It's time now to work on the front and back of our planner. So I felt like the scrap of paper alone was just a little thin. For a cover and a back cover, it needs to be a lot thicker. So here I'm cutting out a scrap piece of cardstock. Once again, 1 inch and a quarter width and length. It's 1 1/4 inch all the way around. Once I have that strip cut, I'm going to continue to cut it down into the 4 squares that I need for the cover and back cover. Wondering why I chose yellow as opposed to the original cover scrapbook paper? Well, it's because I'm trying to make this as realistic as possible, and in real planners the inside cover typically isn't the same as the front or back. So that's why I went with the yellow. It's vibrant, it does the job, and I'm trying to make this just realistic. So now that I've cut that down, I'm going to just make sure that it fits the right size of the cover in the back, which it does. Thank goodness for measurements, they work. So I just glue those 2 pieces onto the 1 cover and then do the same with the back. I'm just pressing things down here, making sure that the glue is gluing and that it's sticking and secure the way it's supposed to be. Here I'm just cutting some more of the yellow backing. I felt like the 1 piece of cardstock wasn't enough to give it the strength that I required, so I just cut out another 2 more pieces of the 1 inch and a quarter and gluing that down to the back to give the front and the back cover more strength. So this next step that I'm about to do, I didn't do it on my original planner that's actually in the Living the Jones episode, but I really do like this step because it's going to protect the planner and allow it to last and make sure the front and the back cover don't fray or get damaged quicker. But what are you going to do? I did it for this one. So I cut a strip of the packing tape and I'm just putting it on top of the cover, smoothing out the edges, making sure there's no air bubbles in there. So once I do that, I cut down the packing tape to a smaller size and I'm gonna cut the edges. So I cut the corners of the packing tape on the edges. I don't know how to really explain it, just watch and see how I cut right at the corners. All the corners of the packing tape are cut, and now I'm just folding over the packing tape and smoothing it out on the back side. Do you see how nice that looks? Like it's laminated and it really looks like a real cover. I just repeated that step for the front and the back. Moving on to the next step. So now it's time to plan out where I'm going to punch the holes into the planner. If I was a perfectionist, I would use a ruler and space out these holes perfectly and make sure they're perfectly aligned. But I'm not that person today. I am just eyeballing it and just putting the 6 dots where I'm going to punch my holes on the paper. I'm just winging it. Sometimes you just gotta throw caution to the wind and craft accordingly. So maybe I didn't throw all the caution to the wind, because here I am with my ruler making sure that the dots are straight. Don't worry, they still didn't turn out that straight, and caution was still thrown to the wind in some way, shape, or form, because trust me, my holes were all over the place. So here I'm going with my punching tool. I'm just first poking a hole in the dots that I created to have a visual on where I'm going to punch my real holes with my puncher. That way I could see exactly where I'm punching. Now I'm going in with my hole puncher. Pew, pew. That's me punching. But here's my hole puncher, which I'm really excited that I got. Actually, it is a hole puncher. It's got 5 different hole sizes. Here I am just going in, making sure that the puncture holes that I had made align with the dots and just trying to make a straight line. It's not happening. Now I'm just lining up the back side to the front side to make holes in the back. Next, we have to make holes for the inside of the planner. This can be a little nerve-wracking because you really have to make sure that the holes align. I don't know if I'm more nervous about making sure the holes align or if I'm more excited just to be using my new hole puncher again. As you can see here, I'm making sure that my papers are strictly aligned. And now I start marking the filling paper with my dotting tool. My dots are now in the filler paper, and now it's time to punch the holes. My hole puncher is good, but she is not that good. The whole stack is not gonna fit into my hole puncher. So what I have to do here is split the filler paper into thinner strips. That way it can fit into the hole punchers. Once I was done cutting all 6 holes, I took the last page of the holes that I punched and I used that as my guide to go back in and punch the rest of the holes in the entire stack. Now is the moment of truth. We're taking the front cover and the fillings to see if the holes align. And luckily, they do. Well, at least the front cover and the holes align. I made a mistake somewhere, I don't know what happened, but my back is not aligning. So I ended up having to do that over again, which is fine, just more time crafting, more fun to be had. But eventually, I do get everything to align. After redoing the back cover off camera, it's now time to cut our wires. But first we have to pick which colors we're going to choose. And I just pick some colors that I think are gonna go with the planner. My colors are picked and now it's time to cut the wires. So I'm using this tool here to just straighten out my wires. Then I'm gonna eyeball it a little bit longer than an inch and I just cut it and I continue to cut the rest of the different colored wire pieces to about that same length. All my wires are cut and now it's time to thread my wires through my planner. As you can see here, I've arranged the wires in the order that I want to place them within the spiral notebook. So once I thread the wire through the planner and the covers, I just make sure I bend the wire because I don't want it to fall out at this current. Actually, I don't want it to fall out, period. I want to make sure that those wires stay in there. So I'm just threading each of the colored wires through the cover, the filling, and the back. All the wires are fed through. It's looking good. Now I have to cut out the tabs that would be the months in the planner. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did this backwards than what I did the original one, and honestly I like how I did the original one better, but I forgot, and that's okay because happy errors are just learning opportunities. But what I did in the original one was I cut these tabs first and put them in the planner itself before I cut the holes. But here I am just cutting down my strips of paper. Lengthwise, it depends. You just want your tabs to stick out just a little bit further than the planner itself. For the original one that I did, I just added 1/8 of an inch to the strips to make it stick out a little bit more. Now that my tabs are cut out, I'm just arranging them in the order of how I want them in the planner itself. I know that 5 tabs will fit the width of the planner, and then there'll be 2 rows of 5 and then an extra 2. That's a total of 12 tabs for 12 months of the year. I have all my strips arranged and I cut them down to fit this particular planner, and now I'm just gluing them into place. So I just glue 1 tab on each page, and I flip the page here and then I glue it down and just make sure it aligns with the previous tab. I've got all the tabs glued down now, so we are close to the finish line. Now it's time for me just to bend the spiral over and try to give it as much of a circular shape as possible, and then I will go in with my pliers and round it out a bit. Once I'm happy with the shape and the roundness of the wires, I'm going to go in and cut off the excess wires, because remember we did originally cut them a little bit longer than they actually needed to be. I'm really pleased with how my spirals are looking, but now we have to put the finishing touch on, and that is adding the elastic to the back of the planner. So the piece of elastic that I have is a 1/4 inch width, and I just cut that in half. Now I'm just putting a dab of glue, about, let's say, 1/8 of an inch in from the end of the planner. I press that down, and now I'm going to add glue to the other side. Once I know that all the glue is dry, I cut off the extra ends, and now I put the elastic around the front of the planner, and we are done. I think that looks really good, if I must say so myself. Even with our happy little errors, I think it turned out good. Thank you so much for joining me on this tutorial. It was a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed, and let's do it again sometime soon. Bye!